Hello everyone, this is Steven Swain, aka Necro Stevo, and I'm here with my second narrated Wi-Fi battle. This battle is against Ferg, who was packing a regular Unova team, and I was going to try running my thrown together rain dance team. This was the best match we had out of 3. I won the other 2, but this was, you'll have to see how this one is, because this was definitely the best one out of the 3. So he starts off by going for the Bug Buzz on my Bronzong. And as I said, it's a rain dance team, so I immediately go for the rain dance. Holding the damp stone means that rain dance is going to last for 8 turns instead of 5. My Bronzong is actually physically defensive, and he's going for these bug buzzes, which are special attacks, so I take the time to set up a light screen, which will cut in half the damage from those special attacks that he's doing. I was pretty sure that I could take another attack from him, so here I went for the explosion, but he switched up his moves and he went directly for the U-turn, which allowed him to switch out his Pokemon before my explosion went off. Now he brought in his Durant, which is a steel bug type, and believe it or not, Bronzong actually has pretty decent attack. I think it's base 93, and here I actually get a critical hit, and it didn't turn out to actually matter later on, but it's important because Durant actually has one of the lowest defense stats of all steel Pokemon. I don't think it's the lowest steel defense, but it's pretty low. Here I bring out my Rising Kabutops because I have the Swift Swim and the Aqua Jet, and I was just going to finish it off with the Aqua Jet for the priority. But he switches out to his Ferrothorn, which was a great play on his part, because I'm going to take a ton of recoil damage, and he basically gets out of that without a scratch. I take 12.5% from the Iron Bars, 12.5% from the Rocky Helmet, and then another 10% from my Life Orb. So here I have to switch out because I don't have anything that can kill it from that HP without taking massive recoil. And I bring in Raikou because I have the Aura Sphere, which can hit him super effective. And I also have the Thunderbolt, which can hit something else on his team as well, as long as he doesn't have a ground type. He makes a good move and goes for the Thunder Wave just to slow me down, which would have been crippling on my Kabutops because of the Swift Swim. So it was actually bad on Raikou, but it would have been worse on Kabutops. Here I went for the Aura Sphere, hoping to just hit either the Ferrothorn, but it would have been super effective on the Rock, Water, Caracosta as well. But it didn't work out because I got paralyzed, so I switched out to my Ludicolo here, hoping he'd go for a Water attack, which would be quad resisted and take him pretty well even though it's boosted by the rain, and he has Stab. Ludicolo makes a great rain staller because he gets the Rain Dish, he can hold leftovers, and he can set up Rain Dance on his own, which means he can take a lot of hits. This is a especially defensive one, and since Ludicolo is Grass Water, that means he has great typing to take hits. Here I go for the Leech Seed, expecting him to expect a Grass attack, a Sun type, but to switch out to something that could take it. And he goes out to his Durant to take the expected Grass attack, but it didn't matter because I just used Leech Seed to get back a little bit more HP and to kind of scout what he was going to do. I expected him to use an attack to try to do some massive damage before he died, so I just protected to see what he was going to do, make sure, and then also I was hoping the Leech Seed damage was going to kill him. If it didn't kill him, I could have just swapped out to something on the expected attack, and if it did kill him, well, that's one Pokemon down, and as you see, that does take him out there, and now I get to see what he sends out next. So he goes back to his starter Pokemon, Excelgor, and he immediately goes for the U-turn. I thought he was actually going to try to finish me, and I was hoping he would go for the Bug Buzz because this is especially defensive Ludicolo. But he switches out to his Ferrothorn again, and that works out for him because he could have blocked any of the moves that I was going to do. But here I just go for the Rain Dance because that's the most important move for me to keep up throughout the battle. Interestingly enough, if you go by online rules like Smogon.com or things like that, Swift Swim was banned with Drizzle, and now that Politoed gets Drizzle, that's actually a nice combination, so that's why I'm taking the time to set up Rain Dance instead of using Drizzle Politoed. So here I expected the Thunder Wave again, so I switched back out to Raikou so that another Pokemon of mine would not get Thunder Wave. And he does go for the Thunder Wave, which is nice. I'm able to get Raikou in for pretty much nothing. And I went for the Aura Sphere again, expecting him to bring back in the Caracosta. Unfortunately, I get paralyzed again, and I'm pretty sure I would have been able to kill that Caracosta after 2 Aura Spheres, even though it has a solid rock. Here I go for the Thunderbolt, not expecting him to predict anything, and just go for the attack, maybe hoping that I get paralyzed again. But he just goes straight for the Stone Edge. He's able to do a pretty good chunk there. I'm able to live it despite the Stab and the high base power of Stone Edge. Fortunately, he didn't get a crit. And expecting another switch, I actually go for the Hidden Power Grass here. I didn't know what to expect, I just expected him to switch. It probably would have been better just to go for another Thunderbolt, or even go for the Aura Sphere, because then I could have hit that Whimsicott a lot harder than I did. Now my rain runs out here, and I know that Whimsicott with this Prankster ability, which allows non-attacking moves to have priority, it normally goes for things like Thunder Wave, Cotton Guard, Encore. So I was expecting something in that type of gamut, but he actually goes for the Leech Seed, which I did not actually predict. But I knew that Ludicolo would be the best thing to take any other types of support moves he might be using. Also, this will give me a chance to set back up my rain, and generally I could wall him out with Ludicolo unless he has something like Toxic. Ludicolo really doesn't care if he gets paralyzed because he's already slow. Now I did try to Toxic him because I figured he might try to hide behind a substitute or something like that, but he just goes straight for the attack and tries to get some more damage on me. Now that he's expecting the Toxic though, I need to switch moves because he might be switching into something that can take the Toxic. So he does switch into Excelgor, and that was actually kind of a bad move to go for the Toxic there because he could have easily switched back into Ferrothorn, and I should have just set back up the rain. But here, since I do get the Toxic on the Excelgor, it allows me to protect and not only get more leftovers recovery, it does more poison damage to him, and I get to see what move he wants to use, whether it's U-turn or Bug Buzz. So that's good. I get to get a little bit of prediction and a little bit of extra damage in there. Now my priority once again is to get the rain back up. So I'm going to go ahead and use this turn to switch out, I think, to someone who can put back up the rain. Yes, I switch out to Tornadus, expecting him to use Bug Buzz or the U-turn, which Tornadus would resist. And not take that much damage for it. But unfortunately, he gets a crit. And this crit kind of paid me back for the crit that I got on Durant earlier. But as I don't think the crit on Durant really mattered, this crit mattered because now I can't take another hit from that Excelgor. So here I go for the substitute, expecting him to go for maybe the U-turn to switch out to something to take me out. But that U-turn cannot break my substitute. So that'll give me a chance to set up the rain. Unfortunately, if I had gotten a chance to just go straight for the attack like I was going to originally, I believe, that would have given me a chance to either kill the Excelgor or do some heavy damage to this Whimsicott. But now I just have to set back up the rain while I can, using my Prankster ability. Here, we actually had a tie because they're both using Prankster abilities, and I'm just faster. I had a plus speed nature versus his non-plus speed nature Whimsicott. So his Encore went off after my Rain Dance, which means I'm locked into Rain Dance for 3 turns, which means I have to switch out, which is unfortunate. So he goes for the Giga Drain. I expected that, which means it's not a good idea to bring in Kabutops on that, because it now might actually kill Kabutops at its HP. Here he makes a good move and sets up the Leech Seed on my Kingdra while I go straight for the Ice Beam. Now he has an interesting EV investment on his Whimsicott because it's specially defensive. And it's also packing the move Cotton Guard, so that means if you leave it in for a while, it's actually going to take hits pretty well, which is a very interesting set to have on it. It's still 2-hit kill by Ice Beam though, so I was expecting to just kind of go ahead and finish it off with the Ice Beam or do damage to the Ferrothorn, which I also expected to switch in. I just wanted to put damage on something, so I went for the Ice Beam again. He went ahead and Death Foddered his Caracosta, probably so he could bring in something safely. Here he brings in his Ferrothorn. I would have said he probably should have just brought in Ferrothorn from the start. I probably would not have done more than a quarter damage to him, and I would have had to switch out. But here, expecting the Thunder Wave once again, I go right ahead and I switch out to Raikou. Just because I don't want my Swift Swimmers Thunder Wave, because that would defeat the point of their entire abilities. My Rain unfortunately stops there, and I go straight for the Aura Sphere. If I had hit that Ferrothorn earlier and not been paralyzed, then he would not have been able to bring in the Caracosta on my other ones where I got paralyzed, and that Ferrothorn would have been dead a long time ago. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and he's able to get up the Stealth Rock, which means that my Tornadus is now dead, because Stealth Rock does damage to things based on their weaknesses to rock, and since Tornadus is flying, he'll take 25% on switching in. I make a bad play there and go for the Aura Sphere again, knowing that he might switch out. I should have probably just gone for the Thunderbolt, or even the Hidden Power Grass, something to do damage there and not just do nothing. But here I Death Fodder my Tornadus to see which move he's going to go for. I knew he would go for probably a Fire move since the rain's not up, but I just needed to be sure. And I send back in my Ludicolo to set the rain back up and to hopefully get a glimpse at some of his other moves, maybe see what item he's holding. It turns out that he is holding a Choice Scarf, which multiplies your speed by 1.5, but it locks you into only using one move. Interestingly enough, I was not aware that he had a Choice Scarf because Chandelure would outspeed Ludicolo naturally. And so I was just going for the rain, hoping to get the rain back up, and not only would that weaken his fire type attacks, but that would just give my two Swift Swimmers there some chance to do something instead of just being swept by Chandelure. So here I protect. That was actually a mistake there. I should not have protected. That does give me a bit of Rain Dish and Leftovers recovery, but that also wastes the turn of Rain. And since Ludicolo is the only Pokemon I have left to set up Rain, that is imperative that I don't waste turns in the rain. I should have swapped right out to Kabutops. Here he brings back out Ferrothorn, and I actually go into my Kingdra. Had I realized that his Chandelure was Scarfed, I would have focused more on saving my Kabutops, because the Kabutops has the Aqua Jet, so it would not have mattered as much. But here I expected the Thunder Wave one more time, so I went out to Raikou. I think this is the time he finally uses Leaf Seed instead. No, he switches out. Okay, so there he stopped using the Thunder Wave and he went right back out to his Chandelure. And here he actually gave me a second turn to switch out and go to my Kabutops. But I just left Raikou in because it is kind of useless being paralyzed like that. I can't really outspeed anything with it. So I left it in just so nothing would take heavy damage. And it was a good thing too, because even with the Quad Resist and the Rain, he still probably would have done a huge chunk to either Kingdra or Kabutops, which means with their Life Orbs, they would not have been able to dish out as much damage. So here he goes for another Overheat. I was hoping I could live it. It was weakened by the rain, and he had -2 from the first one. But it's just a really powerful attack coming from a Pokemon with a high base special attack. So I was not able to live that one, which means no more rain, unfortunato. So hoping I could just do some damage to something, I bring back out Kabutops, go for the Stone Edge instead of the Aqua Jet, hoping that he'll bring back in the Ferrothorn and I can just kill it, and I won't have to worry about it. Stone Edge is not a contact move, so I won't do a huge amount of recoil to myself. I do hit, fortunately, but it doesn't kill. I was hoping that the second one would hit so that I wouldn't have to touch it. I'm very tentative about having Kabutops touch this prickly Ferrothorn with this rocky helmet on. He's just like the Mewtwo from Mega Man. You don't want to touch him, you just want to hit them so that, you know, you don't take any more damage. But I'm able to take out the Ferrothorn without taking too much more damage, and he brings back out his Excelgor, which, once again, if I had a chance to put that last little bit of rain up, I would have been able to kill the Excelgor right away because the rain would have also boosted the Aqua Jet. But here it doesn't matter because I get a critical hit on it. I ran some calcs that actually didn't matter, the crit, just Kabutops' natural attack, coupled with the fact that it had a Life Orb and Excelgor is extremely frail, so that would have taken it out either way. But the important thing about me not having to use the Aqua Jet on the Excelgor means now I'm stuck in on Aqua Jet on this Whimsicott, which means I'm doing pretty much nothing to it. He also makes a really good play, and he goes for the Cotton Guard here on the next turn, which means his defense is multiplied by 2.5, I believe. It's basically a +3 to his defenses. So that's really nice for him, because now I'm pretty much killing myself with my own Life Orb recoil, and he's just getting more defense on top of his already naturally high special defense, which he specifically EV trained it for. So at this point I'm doing so little damage, I'm basically just negating his Leftovers recovery, which I'm just going to Aqua Jet one more time. Again, I would have saved Kabutops had I realized that that Chandelure was Scarfed in an attempt to take it out with a Scarfed a Life Orb Aqua Jet. Then maybe I could have at least had a draw. Yes, I know, I just spoiled the battle. But he made a really good play there in keeping the fact that that Chandelure was Scarfed kind of hidden from me for the entire battle. So now his Whimsicott is sitting in here, has +6 on defense, and it's still getting HP from the Leftovers, so I bring back in my last Pokemon here, which is my Kingdra Tatsudai, and I just go right for the Ice Beam, I believe. I don't think I do anything else. He goes ahead and Leech Seeds to give, you know, for some reason, his last remaining Pokemon, Chandelure, live something, then he would have a chance to get some recovery off and do some damage to me. But it actually ends up not mattering. He brings back up the Hephaestus, and surprise, it's Scarfed. I did not know that until now. I think I would have outsped it had it not been Scarfed, because Kingdra has a higher base speed overall. But he is able to take me out. That was a really, really close 1-0 battle. I really enjoyed it, Ferg. Thank you for the battle. I hope you all enjoyed this. Rate, comment, and subscribe.